Hello, welcome back to part two. Today we're talking all about maternity leave and how you navigate it as a freelancer, as somebody who's self-employed. But also I think this is really valuable information when you are navigating a new chapter, or maybe you're required in a different way at that time. So maybe there's a change to your life. Maybe you have to care for somebody. Maybe you have to take on extra work. So suddenly, I don't know, I think so many of us have those chapters in our lives where it feels that everything has been thrown up in the air and we're trying to figure it out and we're trying to stay on top of everything. And it feels scary and unpredictable, but somehow we're winging it. I want to talk about those moments because certainly at this age and stage of life, we are in that moment where we don't know what's around the corner. And that's not to sound negative or pessimistic, but I guess reality, I think there's very few of us who just wake up and go, I just don't know what I'm going to do today. Like I don't have to think about anything or anyone that I don't want to. So today I want to move straight into meeting your audience where they're at. This was a really great realization for me. So as I mentioned in part one, if you haven't watched that, do go back. I became really in my head, maybe not in my body, really ambitious again once my son had been born. Like I really wanted to make the time count. I really wanted, I don't know, it just gave me more purpose. And if I was going to be away from him, I wanted to know why and what I was doing. And I just became very conscious in my life. Like I watched how I spent my money. I watched the kind of the food that I bought and how I bought it and all of that sort of stuff. And so in those first few years, and this happened with both children, I invested in help and support for my business. And in my life, we had a cleaner, but like not kind of, I don't know, I didn't have an interior designer or anything like that. I've never had one, but in my business, certainly. So I had courses and workshops and I worked with a coach one-to-one. I signed up for a year-long program, which again, in the first couple of years of having a baby can feel quite risky. Because you don't necessarily know what your income's going to be. But the thing was, the internet is so accessible now that many of these things I could do and be part of and be in the game still from my sofa, or if I turn my camera off, sitting in bed feeding my baby, because I could still be part of the conversation. And what I realized was that there was a whole other world that was accessible. Yes, of course, there's those conference centers where people go to a hotel for 3 days and drink terrible coffee. But most people, and certainly post-COVID, most people don't want to do that anyway. They don't want to do it online or have that flexibility or have the recording and watch it later when they're free. And what that gave me was a realization that there must be so many people out there like me who were in a similar situation where they needed flexibility. They still wanted the resources, but they didn't want to leave their house. So again, I created a lot of digital products because it meant that people could do the things that they wanted to do without too much stretch or rearrangement of their lives. Number 7, flexible deadlines and what is my writing saying? Okay, and with no live aspect. So my son, as I've mentioned earlier, didn't really sleep until he was 3.5. So certainly those first 6 months were very unpredictable with his sleep. However, once he went to sleep, he would usually stay asleep for at least an hour. And on great days, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And so what I was able to do was to create and market in that time. And I realized also that when I put too much stuff in my calendar of like, I've got a meeting at 10, I've got a meeting at 11, A, I didn't have the childcare to facilitate that, but B, it was such a pressure, like, what if he's crying? What if all of these sorts of things? And so I really focused on things that I could do, and I had flexible deadlines. So there was the first iteration of your personal brand plan was done during that time. And the great thing is that I was able to be flexible with what I was doing, but my client or my customer would have proper deadlines. So for example, I knew that it was going to be a 6-week course and everybody was going to get their new module on the Monday. So I knew that I had a week, even though I'd planned quite a lot of it beforehand, I knew I had a week between each to pull it together. And so instead of going, oh my gosh, I hope he's going to be asleep by Monday at 7 because that's when I'm doing my workshop, that didn't work for me, because the truth was he probably wasn't asleep at 7. But being able to deliver the content and then being able to answer questions and be available in that way was so fantastic, because it was so much less stressful. Number 8. People who have corporate maternity leave, it's just not the same. I'm going to say it, it's just not the same. And however much you get on with that person and you can go to the park and, you know, those sort of pals are so valuable, it's a different ball game. It's a different scenario. Somebody regularly paying you a corporate salary, and in a way being told like, don't contact her because she's on maternity leave, she's out, is very different. And so I was really lucky at that time to meet a group of like-minded mums who were all freelancers as well, and were working in nap times and things like that. And I think, again, if people are sort of saying, well, I'm going to do this and this and this and run my day in this way, and like, do you want to go out for lunch today? Even like spending 30 quid on a lunch, or 20 quid, or even a tenner or a fiver, you know, I used to think about my resources. And this is not a lack mindset. This is just me saying, do you know what? If I made us both some soup and sandwiches at home, then that would be more cost effective than going out for lunch, because I know what I'm like. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll have a look at the dessert menus. Oh yes, I'll have another drink. Yes, all of that sort of stuff. So being really mindful of that. Number 9, technology. I can't say enough about technology. It's so good. I absolutely love the website that I have. I will leave the links down below. I will also leave a link to another video which is all about deciding which online platform, and there's 2 that I can recommend with affiliates, so you can check them out. You can have a free trial, see what you think. So technology, friends, it's incredible. It does take a bit of time to figure out what's going to work for you, what suits your business goals, what suits your personality, your budget, your circumstances. And I don't believe it's enough just to say what's good out there. I know myself, when I'm investing in something, I have to really understand why I'm doing it, because otherwise I'm just not going to spend the money. Why would I? So when I've made technology decisions, sometimes I've been on 4 different free trials over the course of a week, because I'm looking at functionality, I'm looking at design, I'm looking at ease, I'm looking at it all. But that said, technology is amazing. The fact that we can access so much entertainment, education, brilliance, knowledge, skills from our phone. I've got 2 phones from our here we go. I've got a laptop here, I've got an iMac here. It's so readily available. And so if you don't have elements of your online business that can work for you when you are not working, or pay you while you're not working, you're missing a trick. Honestly, there are so many things that you can offer, and people are so keen to get them and to access them. Because I know those Pinterest pictures where people do personal brands shots and everything is really beautifully aligned and everything is set up. But the amount of times, certainly in this situation, when my babies would only sleep, and Matt was at work and out and about, my babies would only sleep in my bed with me. And so I would do that. I would feed them. They would go to sleep eventually, and then I would work next to them. And the fact that I could watch something on my phone or participate or be on a Zoom situation, it was just golden. It was absolutely golden. Number 10, this is about sharing your story and not allowing you to spend time in a mindset that does not work for you. What I mean by this is it can be so easy to convince yourself that now you are a mum, or now you are a carer, or now you need to take the foot off the gas for a bit. You are irrelevant, or you have nothing to give. And representation matters. It really, really does. And I think this has happened so often when my friends have been pregnant, or I've spoken to other people. And you know, when people are at that, I mean, even 41, nearly 42 weeks, and they are hanging on by a thread because they've just reached the end of the road. They're so tired, they're so exhausted, and they just want this baby to come out. The amount of reactions I've seen in the street when people are shocked at seeing a pregnant woman, they're shocked at how their shape changes. And I was thinking, why is this? Like, so many of us, most of us, the majority of us, we're born in this way. We're brought into the earth in this way. So why are people shocked? This is a very normal, across the board situation. But I do think it's, for the most part, that women have sort of been told that they should just then stay at home, or not be available or accessible, or they should just kind of hide away. And again, I'm not saying that when your baby is, you know, you're 42 weeks pregnant, that you should be galloping through the streets or feeling like you have to run a carnival or anything like that. You do you. But yeah, there are definitely moments where at 39 weeks, if I went to the shop, that people were like, oh my gosh, look at that woman. And I was like, yeah, anyway, which brings me on to another story that I can finish with. When my daughter was 3 weeks old, I was in Pizza Express with my in-laws. They'd come down to meet Luna, and I don't know if Matt was there or not. Anyway, during the course of the meal, I checked my messages, because my son was at nursery, I think, checked my messages, and I had an inquiry to come and do a speaking talk. And this was one of the most high profile things I'd ever done. And there I was in my maternity leggings with some kind of, I don't know what I was wearing on the top, but something definitely. And I looked at it, and this inquiry was for 7 weeks' time. So my daughter would have been about 10 weeks. Wow, that's good maths, Nicky. 10 weeks old. And immediately I went back into, I don't know. Like, the first thing, actually, I should say was, oh my goodness, I really want to do this. This sounds exciting. So my feeling was of excitement and joy, actually, that I'd been invited, and I was really excited about it. But very quickly, my head switched into logistics. Like, how am I going to do this? Is this going to work? Am I going to have things to say? And this talk actually was very straightforward. It was a panel, and the conversation would be about half an hour, 40 minutes, Q&A. Somebody else was hosting it, so we just had to work out what our snapshots were going to be in terms of the subject matter. And the conversation was around money. And I remember turning up with my mum. So 3 generations of us went, my daughter and my mum. Let me just plug this in 1 second on the fly. And my daughter just slept the whole time. So that was great. And I felt that it was actually really important in that talk because I just had a baby. There was a vulnerability, there was an openness, there was a personable, empathetic side to me. And of course, I have all of those features normally, but there's a sensitivity, there's a sixth sense to a new mum, well, although I wasn't a new mum, but a person who just had a baby that somebody brings to the table. And so I was so glad that I said yes. I mean, I was so glad also that the company were very accommodating and also that my mum could come and I could make it work. But it would have been so easy to take myself out of the game and go, well, I'm on maternity leave, or I've just had a baby, did you know? But actually, that money was incredible. I mean, the opportunity was incredible, but also the money was incredible, you know, for a short amount of time. It was fantastic. So that's what I wanted to say on this today. I hope you found it useful. If you want to find out more, if you want some support in planning your next chapter, your next version of your life and business goals blend, have a look at the link down below. You can also visit the freebies house. That would be a good place to start as well, so you can get an idea of some free content and see what's going on and see what's what on the inside. But that's it for today. Do check out the links down below, and I'll see you next time.